Okay, it is December 11th, 2023, 6:04 p.m. I want to call our December board meeting to order. Roll call noting the absence of Larry Herman. We are going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll open up our hearing. So please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I just want to do a quick reminder. If you're here, please make sure that you sign in for Miss Katie. She has to write the names for who attends in the minutes. So I need a motion to open the fiscal year 2023 Truth in Taxation hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Bell.
Yes.
Flores. Yes. Missouri. Yes. Littling.
Yes.
Yuchenko.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I don't have any papers for public comment for it, so moving on to Dr. Gaham's presentation.
Thank you. I like the aggression now in the seconding. I mean, I remember like 3 or 4 months ago it was crickets, and now jumping on the question. All right, so this is my wonderful yearly presentation of the high school, or not the high school, the 200U levy. So we went back 2 years ago, my first year as superintendent. If we went to last year as my second year superintendent, you'll basically almost hear the exact same spiel with a huge change in this year's presentation. Now, Will County is a tax cap county. What does that mean? In a tax cap county, no matter what I ask for from Will County, whatever I submit to the clerk, I at no point in time can ever get the school district more than CPI or 5%, whatever is less. So in Will County, if I put out there that we're going to ask for an increase in revenue of 45%, the clerk will say, "Thank you very much, Beecher 200U, here's your 5%. It's exactly what they'll do. If you remember last year, when we had a truth in taxation hearing, it was I think it was like a 5.25% requested by the school district, and we got 5%. Okay? Again, I could have asked for 25, I only get 5. There is no way in a tax cap district you can ever get more than 5% increased revenue unless through referendum. It's very important to remember that aspect of it. You're going to hear that phrase multiple times throughout this hearing and the tax cap portion of it. So, what is a truth in taxation hearing? That is what we are here for today. If at any point in time you are going to increase taxes at a certain percentage, you need to have a hearing that the community, and we have community members here unless they're here for the other portions of the meeting, where they can hear what is going on. And so they are aware of the taxes being payable the following year. So when must I hold this hearing? Well, I just told you. If I ever exceed 5% of the aggregate extension, it's a lot of really $100 words. Can you explain them 100%? Remember, you are a P-TEL county. All of these words mean what? A P-TEL is a property tax extension limitation law. That's what I just said. You're not allowed to exceed 5% increased revenue on your aggregate extension unless through referendum. Again, I cannot ask for more than 5% or CPI, whatever is less. If you went back 2 or 3 years ago when CPI was at 1.3, 1.4, 2%, you got 2% as a school district. You didn't get 5%. You could have asked for 5, you got the 2. Okay? Could have asked for 25, you got the 2. A levy is your projected revenue that you're going to get from your taxes the following year. And the question I got from one of my board members, and it's an excellent question because you're going to use this word a lot, Jack. Why do you keep saying projected or estimated or etc.? Because I don't have the numbers for EAV. I do not come up with those numbers. The clerk's office in Will County are the ones who do the assessment of value in Will County, and so they send me the preliminary numbers, their numbers in October. They say, hey, just want to let you know, Dr. Game, this is what we believe Will County's EAV will be for Beecher, Washington Township, and the sliver of Will Township. Take your best guess, folks, because that's what you got to figure out. That's what they do, the superintendents and CSBOs. So, the extension is the actual amount from the previous year that we got. Not what we asked for, what we got is the extension, which is what they extended in terms of revenue to us. And then your aggregate. Your aggregate is the actual money that is non-bond related. The next few slides will be the last time you probably see these slides ever in 200U. You're not going to see them from me next year because we no longer have the long-term debt. If you go back 2 years ago when I did this presentation, I talked about the bond that was existing for the junior high that was sitting at 1.08, and that bond was coming off. Hence, last year's levy hearing was a decrease of 21% on your rate. Okay, so last year you didn't see that, or I guess this last year's levy, this year's tax year, you didn't see that on there. So an example, again, the last time you'll have to see this from me, if I have a $5 rate and 4 is part of my aggregate and $1 goes to the long-term debt, the $1 is your long-term debt, your $4 is your actual aggregate. So the $4 is what can only go up by that percentage every year. No more than 5 or CPI where it was less. So, what are you asking for? Again, reminder, on the ballot in March of 2023, a levy was passed, a limiting rate referendum was passed to bring the limiting rate to 535. 55% passed. So, with that number, the extension of the levy will go from last year's 9.47 to projected 11.5, 11.6. That's the number that you guys saw on the Will Township sign. Just so we're all very clear, I'm not a man of semantics. I'm actually very bad at politics. And we are not seeking, that is the wrong verb. We are not seeking a 23% raise. We sought it. That was back in March. Already was asked for it and was approved by voters by 55%. So I'm sorry that clickbait exists. We are not seeking a 23% increase. It was already sought back in March through the limiting rate referendum. So this is a revenue increase by 22%. Now, you notice I kept on saying the total extension because theoretically there could have been a long-term debt in here, which there's not. That's why you won't see this slide anymore. So is that the percentage? Well, yes and no. Because again, that did not include any long-term debt. We don't have long-term debt. So the answer to that is yes, it is actually the number. But let's say hypothetically I had long-term debt on there. Would that have been it? No. I would then have to show you this new sign and say, hey guys, it's the same numbers. We don't have long-term debt. We are debt-free in 2023. So exact same numbers. This is actually your aggregate extension of 9.47 and your actual aggregate levy is 11.58. They're the exact same numbers because you don't have long-term debt at 200U. So that 22%, which is part of the extension, is the actual reason that we sit here today with a 22% figure in a truth and taxation hearing. So the answer is, why are we here? Because we're asking for more than 5%. Despite the fact the referendum has already passed, we still want to make sure that taxpayers are aware the thing that passed in March is now being verified today to take effect next year. A community member asked me this, and I want to make sure it's abundantly clear. This is not in addition to what happened in March. I had some very angry people inform me that, hey, I gave you a rate in March, why are you asking for more money? I'm not asking, we are not asking for more money. I'm implementing the referendum that was passed in March. So this is, the chickens come to roost, is that what it's called? Is that the phrase? Is that what the phrase is? So we are now actually showing you what happened with the passage of the referendum. Okay? And again, hey Gaham, you just told us you can't go above 5%, it's at 22. Yes, because we passed a referendum. I can't say that enough. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be badgering to point down, but we'll make sure it's abundantly clear. The only way we're able to ask more than 5 in this situation is because we passed a referendum. You keep saying the word anticipated. This is the word that people hate. Again, your tax assessments don't actually come out till March. Your actual home values are not assessed until March. So in March, the clerk's office will send my office a message saying, hey, Dr. Gay, I just want to let you know, here's the actual EAV, here's the actual rate, and here's all the money that you get from that actual rate. And that rate is 5.35. That is an increase of 11%, 11.7% on the actual rate. The rate's going up 11% because of the referendum. The revenue goes up by 22%. There's a difference there, I understand that. How can something go up 11% and you get 22% more money? Because the third factor is that EAV, that is your estimated assessed value of your property. If you are a senior citizen or some other stipulations, you can actually freeze your EAV, and this would actually be the increase total. Or I'm sorry, not the increase. Your revenue and your rate would be exactly the same. Because if you're a senior citizen, you can freeze your EAV. Okay? So that's why. If your EAV goes up, which is a good thing in communities, that means your property values are going up, which means that people are coming to your community and there's good things happening in your community. And that's why, if you look over the last decade at Beecher, your rate has gone down because EAV goes up. Okay? The only way that balances is the referendum. So that's why I'm showing you a 11.7% here, but the total revenue is 22%. Because that EAV is the difference. The value of your property. Why does the drastic change? Referendum. Sorry, don't mean to keep saying it. I'm really not sorry, but you get what I'm saying. Why are you using the word anticipated? Because I am not the clerk. I'm not the one that does the assessment, and those assessments don't come out until March. These are all speculative. But as one board member asked me about how close can you get, I was $800 off last year on projected to actual. Oh, I'm sorry, $1,000 off. On 197 million some odd change, I was $1,000 off. Pretty close on the projection. So when we look at these numbers, the numbers will not go up, they only can go down from whatever you ask for. The clerks will never say, well, you didn't ask for enough money, 200U, we're going to give you a little bit more. They don't do that. If I don't come up with numbers that are close enough to 535, your limiting rate could be 531. It could be 530. But it will never be more than 535 because that is what the referendum has said, and that's the only thing the clerk will allow to happen. So, I just mentioned it. What did your values look like in the past? So, if you go all the way back to 2016, if you went 2 years back and you pull those, you can actually see go back to 2014. Your limiting rate in 2016 was 573, still less than it is today. 560, 551, 518, 507, 485, 478. Then, with the referendum, it went back up to 535. Your limiting rate continued to go down. It went down because your EAV went up. As long as your values go up, your rate goes down unless the referendum. You also see the revenue generated doesn't change a whole lot. It doesn't, because you're only allowed to go up by a certain percentage. And in a tax cap district, that really hampers a school district. It does. Not trying to be, it is what it is. Here's your extension. So now, as I mentioned, these went off the books. Oh, this is where's Joe at? Where is Joe Duncan at?
Working on the internet, sir.
Oh, thank you. This extension went bye-bye. So 2 years ago, when I did this levy presentation, I said to the board, hey guys, your levy's going to be 603. I may have actually said 608 at the time. 603. Then the following year, Without the levy, I'm sorry, without the extension, I stood in front of this board and said, hey, your rate next year will be 4.78. It dropped 21% last year because that long-term debt went off the books. Your guys' rate 2 years ago was still more than it will be next year. Your limiting rate has not, your overall rate has not been 535 for a very long time because you had a bond in place. Okay? So I just want to make sure the board is understanding where these numbers are coming from. Now again, the other thing that we talked about, you talked about back in the day, and you still see it on the report card, which I'll do a presentation next month on, is adequacy target. We are in Tier 1. By the way, what is Tier 1? Tier 1 means that we're one of the poorest per capita school districts in the state. We are at 64% adequacy target. So again, the state comes as a very large formula that I don't know how they come up with because they're politicians and they're good at this. They say, hey, just want to let you know, Beecher Turner, your expenditures should be about $15 million, a little over $15 million. The actual revenue you're getting from local sources is 9.6. You're only reaching 64% of what the target is believed to be. So you're at Tier 1. So what does that do? It gets us an extra, I think, $500,000 this year in terms of EBF, evidence-based funding, that's state funding. So the state who tells us, hey, you're $4.5 million short of your goal, of where you should be to make sure all your students have a very capable education, despite the money that we spent on it, here's an extra $500,000 to supplement that. Okay, school financing, or school, finance is not the right word. What's the word I'm looking at? Not financing, school funding, thank you. Is something that they're still trying to figure out at the state level. They've gotten better, but I believe last year I told you guys Beecher was the 22nd lowest. And most of them below us were private schools, small schools, little rural schools that have 50, 60 kids in it. So where does this take us? Well, let's do the hypothetical 15.47. This is just your operating funds and some of your budget numbers. The revenue I just provided you, which is 11.5, that gets us at 75%. That is on the threshold of maybe being Tier 2. Tier 1 goes up to about 74.5%. So depending on how close this number is of my projection, you might still be Tier 1 even with this referendum passing. Okay. Just to give you reference, Peotone Schools down the street is 103%. So Peotone Schools also have the autonomy to pass working cash referendums and supplement this number as needed. This is one of the policies you guys are actually going to be adopting here pretty soon, but I figured why not get the ball rolling, start it out for you guys. So 410 actually says that one of the requirements of the superintendent moving forward will be giving a projection of the 3-year average of your operating expenses and ensuring that you never have more than 2.5 times reserves of those funds. And if not, you have to put a expenditure plan in place to make sure you spend all those funds. So the average expenditure the last 3 years of our ed fund, our O&M fund, and our transportation fund is around 17.5, 79022. Remember, we had some big projects in there. That's why it's a little bit higher, but 17 million. Let's do 18. Nice and clean number, 18 million. If you do 2.5 times that, which is what the policy states, it's about $44 million. I assure you, we don't have $44 million in the bank. As a matter of fact, in those reserves, we have 7.7 million, well below the threshold of 2.5. So you do not have to do a reduction plan here at Beecher Turner. I would love nothing more than to do a spending reduction plan. Ain't gonna happen anytime soon. And then when does it actually receive these levy disbursements? Again, because if you look at your cash on hand at any particular time, you're like, oh my Lord, you guys have all this money in the bank. Well, it's because we just kind of got through the money getting season. And guess what? We're not going to see anything for quite some time. So what you're seeing right now in your packets is about as good as it gets until the summertime. And that's the money that we have to use in order to get us through the rest of the school year. So when I continue to talk about, and after Mr. Peters does his presentation, I'm going to talk about the liquidation, making sure we have liquidity with our funds, and try not to, and we'll talk about death certificates as well, not spend that money on things that we don't necessarily have the needs for. Or not needs for, but that we have a borrowing power for doing. This is why. I want to make sure you guys understand where and when money comes in. Okay? Just so you know, this is what your last, from 2021 to 2023, September's look like. Down here is when you're getting your funds and expending your funds. You'll also notice with these large peaks, this is, I believe this is one of the maturities of one of our CDs, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Peters. And then why is the expenditure so much? Well, there's twofold to that. Either we paid off a large chunk of the HVAC project, or if you actually take money out of a CD, I understand that's a revenue, but you also are putting it in cash on hand, which means it is also an expenditure. So if I pull $4 million out of something, it's not an $8 million surplus, it's now a $4 million in, $4 million out, so that's why you have a large expenditure there as well. Same thing here, if your investment comes in and you reinvest. You'll also notice on this chart, the blue line is your actual cash on hand, and then your red line is your investments. And you'll notice last year, at the beginning of the year, we kind of stopped with some of the investments because we were getting like 2% interest on things, and our Super Now fund was giving us 3%. So we basically took a lot of our investments, pulled them out and said, hey, we don't want to be doing this anymore. It's silly to be putting investments, not having that liquidity available, and then losing some money. Now, the other side of that is we have started to reinvest because now we're getting better rates, which I'll talk about as part of the debt certificates later on today. And that's the first slide I presented, so that's a wrap. Any questions particular to the levy, where the numbers came from?
I understand it now.
Do you?
It's,
I should be a teacher.
But I had questions coming in here.
Oh, good.
I feel like if we didn't do the referendum, I would be completely lost with that. You taught us a lot with that.
Yeah. Well, and again, if the referendum didn't pass, and I did this presentation, in March, they would give me 5%. I think CPI is at 6.1 last. I didn't care too much this time around because I had a referendum. But.
So it would have went up regardless from last year?
Yeah, but you would have gotten it would have been that 5% revenue, not the approved referendum 535.
But it is still lower than it was 2 years ago with our levy plus our extension.
The total rate, yes.
It's lower than it's been.
In the past 10 years.
I'll go back further here.
Okay, so I need a motion to close the fiscal year 2023 Truth in Taxation hearing.
So. Second. Flores?
Yes.
Missouri? Yes. Schlichting? Yes. Yuchenko?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I'm sorry, Ms. Buck, does anybody here need the, if you didn't catch it, Larry, the internet server? Yeah, so if there is a hotspot over here, if you want the internet, there is, there's the code. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's okay. Okay, so I need a motion to approve. Do we need, hang on, let me just double check. Or we do, like, no, we don't have.
No, it's
to-
up there. It's-
Okay,
yeah.
I just want to make sure I wasn't accidentally skipped.
Normally, your minutes are much smaller.
I just wanted to make sure. I need a motion to approve the Personnel Committee meeting minutes of November 9th, 2023, and the regular board meeting minutes of November 13th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Missouri? Yes. Schlichting? Yes. Yuchenko?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Flores? Yes. Motion carried.
Okay, next I need an approval of executive board meeting minutes. So I need a motion to approve the executive session personnel committee meeting minutes of November 9th, 2023, and the executive session regular meeting minutes of November 13th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Flickling. Yes. Diachenko.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Harmon.
Yes.
Belt.
Yes.
Flores.
Yes.
Missouri.
Abstain.
Okay,
Motion carried.
this one is really long. I'm sorry ahead of time. I need a motion to approve the executive session minutes remain closed for the following. Executive session personnel committee meeting minutes of July 11th, 2022. Executive session special board meeting minutes of September 26th, 2022. Executive session regular board meeting minutes of October 12th, 2022. Executive session negotiations committee meeting minutes of November 12th, 2022. Executive session regular board meeting minutes of November 12th, 2022. Executive session negotiations committee meeting minutes of November 22nd, 2022. Executive session negotiation committee meeting minutes of November 30th, 2022. Executive session negotiations committee meeting minutes of December 20th, 2022. Executive session negotiation committee meeting minutes of January 4th, 2023. Executive session regular board meeting minutes of January 9th, 2023. Executive session negotiations committee meeting minutes of January 12th, 2023. Executive session special board meeting minutes of January 26th, 2023. Executive session regular board meeting minutes of February 13th, 2023. Executive session special board meeting minutes of March 1st, 2023. Executive session regular board meeting minutes of March 13th, 2023. Executive session personnel committee minutes of June 9th, 2023. And executive session regular board meeting minutes of June 12th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
I missed the 14th.
Diachenko.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Belt.
Yes.
Flores.
Yes.
Missouri.
Yes.
Flickling. Yes. Motion carried.
Okay, I got another one.
Do you need a drink first?
I already got one. I need a motion to approve the destruction of audio recorded executive session minutes from recorded regular executive session of June 14th, 2021, recorded personnel committee executive session of July 19th, 2021, recorded special board executive session of August 4th, 2021, recorded special board and retreat executive session of August 30th, 2021, recorded regular executive session of February 14th, 2022, recorded personnel committee executive session of February 28th, 2022, recorded regular executive session of March 14th, 2022, recorded regular executive session of April 11th, 2022, recorded negotiations committee executive session of April 19th, 2022, recorded personnel committee executive session of April 25th, 2022, and recorded regular executive sessions of May 9th, 2022.
So moved.
Second. Hanson.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Belt.
Yes.
Flores.
Yes.
Missouri.
Yes.
Flickling. Yes. Diachenko.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next up, I need a motion to approve the December 2023 expenses as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Herman.
Yes.
Belt.
Yes.
Flores.
Abstain.
Missouri.
Yes.
Flickling. Yes. Diachenko.
Abstain.
Hanson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next up is the treasurer's report.
Alrighty. Balance on the super now account at First Community at the end of November was $4,437,838.16. Outstanding checks totaled $394,231.39. November payroll carryover, $44,696.34. And impressed fund carryover of $2305.62. leaves the adjusted bank balance at the end of the month at $3,996,604.81. Lunch program balance, $52,640.72. Impress fund, $5,000, leaving the total at $4,054,245.53. The investments totaled $5,254,447.72, leaving the balance of all funds in the district on November 30th at $9,308,693.25. November receipts, $462,979.94. Expenses, $2,495,522.05. The fund balances, education fund, $6,386,636.82. The building fund, $526,267.96. Transportation fund, $1,836,076. IMRF, $225,920.33. Working cash, $266,460.73. Tort fund balance, $322,505.16, and life safety, $580,065.49. November interest at First Community totaled $22,333.37. That interest rate did go up about 1.18%, so a nice little jump there. The state of Illinois made some distributions in November as well as normal. State aid, $314,122. School lunch, $12,988.58. State free lunch, $84.96. Preschool, flow-through, $19.62 even. And special milk, $5.95. And then the ninth real estate distribution was $84,226.82. Fund balances are in the packet.
Does anyone have any questions about the treasurer report?
So just so you guys know, part of the conversation about the debt certificates, I remember back in the day was, we're gonna borrow money and we're gonna have an interest rate. And so would it make more sense to just pay it off and get that taken care of? So over the last month, Mr. Peters and I and Kate have been looking at a lot of investment opportunities, and we've found that there are a lot of small term CDs that we can invest money in at a much better rate and keep the money on hand and still earn more interest than we would be charged in terms of interest on that debt certificate. So if you remember, it was 5.1, I believe, is what Stifel talked about, a few months ago in the borrowing. We just had a CD for 5.34 that we put $1 million into, so there's a 0.2% difference that would offset that. The goal would be, as long as we have that money in our possession, we're able to actually invest in small term CDs, high interest rate, and keep that liquidity available. I know Mr. Peters has started working with Midland. Midland has a lot of within the money market, and we have to wait for maturity dates. I know this month there'll be two CDs that are created through them that are plus 5%. It's only $55,000 right now, but if you look at Midland's investments, we're at $2.66 million. Right now, that money's basically untouchable because it's sitting in money markets that we can't withdraw from. But over the next year, Mr. Peters will make sure that that we're kept up to date to it. We're going to put those in the short-term CDs that will get a high interest rate and be able to actually keep that cash flow ready for us. Because as I noted in the levy report, you guys just saw it's $84,000 we got from local distribution. That's pittance. I mean, I know $84,000 seems like a lot of money to a lot of people. It's a lot of money to me. But when you're working on a $15 million budget, that's very difficult when you have $2 million in expenditures every month. So that's why when it comes to those debt certificates, as a superintendent, I can't recommend that you spend money out of reserves on that project. That there's debt certificates that you can get. Your interest gain from investments will offset any interest cost by borrowing those. And we'll be able to keep, like I said, that money in the bank and liquid for us to make sure we pay payroll. I'd rather do that than spend $2 million and then Mr. Peters comes knocking on my door saying, payroll's due, you have $3 million now because it's May and you don't have any money and you gotta wait till June for your first disbursement.
If we can get the interest rates, I would I would feel better about that. I didn't feel good in the initial conversation because I feel like paying interest is throwing taxpayer money away.
I would agree.
So if we have the money in the bank, it didn't make sense to throw taxpayer money away. But if we would make more investing versus that, then, and it offsets where we're not wasting money,
Right.
then I'm okay.
Awesome. And just for, we are not investing the money that we are going to be getting death certificates for. So that there's a lot of legalities with that. That money is strictly going to come in
Yeah.
and pay for HVAC and the roofing project. So I think it's 2.1 is what we, and then some other odds and ends. Sorry, Mr. Peters, didn't mean to overtake your treasurer
Oh, you're
report.
fine.
You did an excellent job. Voice of an angel.
I need
You
a
and Gordon
motion,
Freeman.
need a motion to approve the December treasurer's report as presented.
So moved.
Second. Belt.
Yes.
Flores.
Yes.
Missouri.
Yes.
Flickling.
Yes.
Diachenko.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, I have no requests for public comment. So moving on to staff reports, we're starting with Ms. Black.
I indicated I wanted to ask a question if it was possible on that sign sheet.
Yeah, we'll just have, do I need to have him do the form
No,
after just so we have it? Okay.
Just a sec. Come on up.
Yeah. Okay.
My name is Ted Lightcap.
Come on
up.
I'm just a taxpayer in the Beecher region. I'm trying to understand what the effect is, and this is a simplistic question because I'm a simplistic person. What's the effect of 22% tax levy on the individual's taxes in the Beecher area? Is it a 22% directly translated into a 22% tax? Okay, thank you for shaking your head. What is its effect? Yeah, use a simple number, like you were trying to do. Say your taxes were $1,000. They're not, they're much more. But what is the effect of a 22% tax levy on this matter? And thank you for allowing me to speak.
Quick.
So.
We had that on the referendum
Yeah.
and stuff, so I don't know if you have access
So
to it,
full
but.
disclosure, because I don't want the
Yeah.
board to get in trouble. Again, I will answer this question. You normally shouldn't respond to public
I know, I
comment
know.
because it's a precedent you're setting, but this gentleman came here and it's a very good question. So if you go back to the referendum that we passed back in March, a average household compared to what it was the last taxing body, so that was actually 2021 to this year, it's about $166 more per I think it's per $100,000. So whatever so if your house is worth $200,000, it would be $332 difference in a year.
So it's 166 per $100,000 of rent.
Yeah, based on the numbers that were from 21 to this year, I don't have, so,
And again, an approximation.
correct.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge number based on my assessed evaluation.
But they also did go down last year because the bond was paid off. So they went down and they went back up, so it's not as much as it was kind of before.
I understood.
Yeah.
I deeply appreciate that
Okay.
because I was retired last year, not fighting choice. I'm on Social Security. Thank you.
Okay, Miss Black.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to point out a couple of things from my report. Last week, our students shopped at the PTO holiday shop, and it's been a couple of years since we've had that, so it was really exciting to have that back again. So it's good to see everyone excited, coming back, they're whispering to each other what they're getting for their parents. I always wonder what percent of kids can keep the secret until Christmas, because I think it's pretty small. But anyway.
Mine won't get open like
Yes.
that.
I've already done it. All right, well, there we go. For the last day before we head off for break, December 21st, we have our Wheel of Wisdom. Right now, the students are saving their coins for some of the raffle items that we have. So some of those things, front row seats for the Wheel of Wisdom. The most popular choice so far this year and last year, I set up a plastic table in the lunchroom, and I made it look fancy with tablecloth, and the kids are beside themselves excited to sit at a special circle table in the lunchroom. So that one has a lot going on. Of course, some Happy Meals they can share with a friend, and a big movie night basket that we have over. So it should be a fun day. we are starting, I think next week is our first meeting with the activities that our reading committee put together. We're bringing reading buddies back. We've done that a couple of years ago. When we did it a couple of years ago, we didn't have every single classroom participating. There were 60 classrooms, but this year we have every classroom participating. So kindergartners are buddying up with third grade and first grade and fourth grade and second and fifth grade. So we all have a reading buddy. We're going to do different projects with them once a month from now to the end. Any questions? All
I just
right.
saw that our fourth grade, we did get another.
Yes, we did.
Hopefully
You know,
it's-
we had held off. I don't know.
I know.
When it's wrecked, I suppose.
Hopefully
We
it
held
was
off,
everything.
yes, we had held off this long without getting any fourth grade movements, and then we got 2 in the same week, and I was like, oh. So, yes, I've been having some conversations with fourth grade about different things that we can do, and throughout the year, we have been able to arrange staff, whether that be some of our aides or some, we actually have Mrs. Dunlap helping out with in overtime in PE. Fourth grade, so it works out well, to provide support, as much support as we can with each of those sections for each of those 3 blocks during the day. Thank you.
Dr. Kwasny.
I wanted to start off by congratulating our 8th grade girls basketball team. They were sectional champs. Unfortunately, this weekend on Saturday, they ended up losing, but they played really hard. It was a great game. The first half was phenomenal. They were actually up at the half. Third and fourth quarter didn't go so well. The final score was 31-18, but they played hard and they did really well. We were very, very proud of them. And they'll be invited to the next board meeting, so we can congratulate them once again. Also, wanted to share a couple other things. Our winter games are going to be coming up. That'll be the day before break. And this year we're doing co-ed teams because it seemed like that was kind of more fair to do it that way. So that'll be something new. And it's really fun. They do all different kinds of physical, athletic competitions. And then they also do some mental activities with puzzles, you know, solving different math and just all content area, academic component as well. So it just makes it fun and it kind of levels the playing field a bit too. So it's going to be before break. We're also going to have donuts and drinks for the kids as well for the students. And one other thing I wanted to bring up is we did do our annual EDRS response drill this year. We did it for the year. We did it last week. SRO Hanson led the drill, and we also had some of the teacher police department officers come in as well to help. And we did something a little bit different. We still did it the regular way, but we had little signs that we put up because it was really hard for us to kind of like check everybody's scenario. Okay, what would you do? So we did like a spot check, and we always go in the classrooms, but we did a little spot check where they hung up with a sign outside their door or like in the window so we could see it, what their response would be to each of the 3 scenarios. So then we gave that information to SRO Hanson, and then he was able to kind of, you know, if he agreed with everything, great, we move on. And then if there was anybody that he wanted to know, because he would always say there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer, but to kind of talk it through with them. So then he pushed into the classrooms after the drill was over, and even after each scenario, just to kind of talk things over with them. So we thought that worked out really well. We appreciated his input and him leading that drill as well. So that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Meyer.
A couple of student activity things. I know I've talked about, and you know, that our math scores may not be where they need to be, and we're going to continue to work on those. But I do want to say, you know, we got 2nd place in our math contest, and we bring some schools around here that have better overall math scores than we do. But, you know, we had 15 perfect papers. We get 2nd out of 8. We still can't beat Gardner South Wilmington, but that's something that Mrs. Chauvin will never say their particular school name. But I am proud of our students. We do have a nice, solid group, almost in each class, that do perform above average. Sometimes we just can't get them on the math team, but overall I am proud of them. And like I said, I know that our scores overall aren't where they need to be, but we do have achieving kids that do perform well when they need to. Also, I'd like to say that I went to the 10 Ways to Survive the Holidays to Play. Nice job. I want to thank Mrs. Hurley. I want to thank the kids. So I appreciate our district still being able to offer opportunities for kids. And early on, I didn't know if we were going to get a sponsor. So Mrs. Hurling is Josie's mom, who was here the past couple of years. So again, I think she already has the spring musical already ready. I'm not ready to go, but has ideas and all that. So again, I like the opportunity that we have, or that you allow us to have, to get other kids involved. The KACC situation where they are struggling a little bit to keep people. I think maybe that's in all businesses, but they are actively seeking I was going to say, they have an EMT job that they were out. The construction was one, the computer technology, and now it is the auto tech. So they do a good job of somehow getting people in, but I know this is a concern of theirs, and I know we send 50-some kids down there. So hopefully they do find an instructor for auto technology, because we do have some kids in auto tech. And lastly, I did send out some things to the parents today about semester tests. Also sent that same information and a schedule to the students. I think the students already have the schedule, but that's just an FYI, so everybody's prepared for it next week. Hopefully everybody's prepared for it.
Is there a requirement on when, like, study guides need to be out by for teachers, or that's
Most is
just
this week.
based-
What I told them in a staff news is, if you do give a study guide, make sure they have the right answers. So don't have kids just do the work and then don't go over it, because that was one of the difficulties we had with our son, because our daughter was pretty top notch, and love you, Jacob, by the way, but you know, sometimes he just didn't have the right answers, because he would do it, but maybe it wasn't exactly perfect. So that's one of the things that we always try to express. Please allow the kids to do it, but make sure you go over it so they get the right answers. I'm hoping that that's what they are doing this week. I also told staff seniors need to be notified by Wednesday if they're taking the test or not. I don't want to put it Friday afternoon and now you have to turn around Monday and take a test. That's not fair either.
And why wouldn't they have to take it? What's the requirement?
So if they have B's and above in first quarter and second quarter, B's and above, and 4 or less unexcused absences, they are exempt. And then we do something similar second semester, but it's A's for underclassmen. So I raise the level a little bit, but I give those kids, if they busted their rear ends and worked their tails off, that I give them a little.
Oh, so first semester is just senior, second semester it's everybody?
Second semester it's everyone. But the freshmen through juniors have to have A's and above,
Okay.
where seniors only have to have B's and above.
And that way they all experience the test.
Everybody's going to get it first
They have to
semester,
at
so
least
everybody
understand
gets
what a
practice.
final
But then
is, and
again, I think if you've worked your rear end off, the third and fourth quarter or whatever quarters, and you get A's, then you know the material. I think so. I hope.
You would hope.
I know. But so.
Comment and then a question. So circling back to the play, so thank you for Dr. Gaham and for you, Mr. Meyer, coming to attend.
Sure.
But also thank you to the teachers that came out. It was recognized by those students, and they loved the fact that they had teachers there in the audience, and some brought their families and things like that. So that was recognized and greatly appreciated by the kids.
Good.
So, and then just a question on the activity fund. What happens when one of the activity funds goes negative? I don't think I've seen that before.
Oh, it's out of the negative. Miscellaneous fund?
No, not the
Oh.
like one of the activities has a
Oh,
negative
cheerleaders?
balance. Yeah.
They don't have their, I'm gonna give you an educated guess, but you probably could help me out more, but I'll drown here, but don't help me out.
Okay. Sorry, didn't mean to
No,
catch you
no,
off
no,
guard. Just-
I'm assuming that their candy money, they've spent their money, and their candy money or their fundraiser money hasn't been turned in.
Okay.
So that's why.
All right. I've never seen it.
No, but our miscellaneous was negative for a little bit too, but that was a different story.
Yeah, I guess I did.
We're above now. We got business taken care of.
Generally,
Yes.
those expenditures are timed so that the deposit is made before the end of the month. Doesn't always
Yeah,
work
it doesn't
that
always
way.
work. Thank you.
But that's what it is. They spent on uniforms or whatever it was, and they just have not collected, and the money has not been deposited back in their account.
Okay.
Yeah, we had our first, and I didn't No, sorry, English. Sunday was their first performance, so I think that they needed to get all their stuff in, and I just don't think they turned it in. And I know they still have some money out there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Dr. Gahan. Oh, wait. No. Okay. Sorry, I heard it sound like, wait.
I think it's Mr. Meyer at his age walking away.
Oh! No, I just heard Dr. Gahan, I was like, yes.
A really bad cheerleader joke. I'm not gonna go with it. We had one FOIA this past month. It was a commercial FOIA. It was satisfied well within the 30-day requirement. In terms of my board report, one thing I was going to mention is I met with the Washington Township, the fire department, and they brought in the Joliet police, and I'm sorry, not the police, the fire department in, talking about a system called ThriveWorks. It is a phone system that gets people in contact with psychologists, psychiatrists, things like that. It's really to help the social emotional needs of a community. It's not just specific to school districts, but it is one of those things that, if the fire department were to move forward with it, 100% we would want to support those kind of things. In Joliet, they've seen a 50% decrease in a lot of their social emotional concerns, strictly because we're going to contribute a lot to this particular project that the Joliet Fire Department undertook. So Chief Alichetti is looking into that. As more information comes to me, obviously I'll provide it to you guys and to the community if Chief doesn't do that himself. So it seemed like a really good thing to try to help our community. It's not just for students, it's not just for the elderly. It's they really would like to get started upper elementary grade, almost like the 5th grade, and then really hopefully help those kids out and help people out. Secondly, just sat here and I apologize to my 3 principals during their presentations. I promise you I was listening in the background. I did run actual numbers for $100,000 value just because I want to make sure our community has answers. So in 2021, your price per 100,000 was $2,026 is what you would have spent per $100,000. Yeah. Last year, it went down to $1,596. Which means that you would have paid $237 less per 100,000 last year. And then this year, it goes to $1,789, which would be a $93 increase. So from 2021 to, which was the 608 rate, to this rate, you're still paying $237 less per 100,000 on your home than you did in 2021. But it does obviously go up from last year because last year did not have a bond, did not have the long-term debt. So it goes up by $193. So I want to make sure I gave an answer to our community member. Again, rough guesstimate, trying to go off the top of my head. My computer's not working. Joe, do we have the internet yet?
Not yet.
Oh,
Okay.
gosh.
So working on it.
Is there anything within my board report that you have questions about?
What's the fitness pad thing?
Oh, I was going to talk about it a little bit later, but yeah, it's so. And I found out talking to Mr. Barber in Marcy, this was one of the options that the village looked into when they decided instead to do the pickleball court. It's kind of a, how do I describe it? It's a non-weight workout area, and so it's about the size of a tennis court. Half of it is free space to where Fitness Premier could come out and do yoga classes and things like that, and the other half has like chin-up bars and resistant things like that, to where it creates a circuit training, so you can go out there and do a 7-minute workout and try to get those kind of things. They reached out and said, hey, is there any interest in Beecher? You kind of look like a nice little hub in the middle of in Illinois that we could possibly go about doing this with. Full disclosure, I have reached out to some community groups. Doesn't look like we're going to get financial backing. I don't want to speak for them, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of money there to do that financial backing. And I can, in good consciousness, ask the board to put forth $100,000 for this project. So I think this is one of those things that it's good on paper, it's good intentions, but at the end of the day, it's not financially sensible to be spending money on those kind of things. Maybe it's one of those things in 5 years, if the grant's still available, we can reach out again.
And I don't know, correct me, this probably isn't a question for you, but more so, don't we have something that on the walking trail that there's like a
Thought so,
stop
yeah.
and then you can do a thing and a, some,
I thought
right?
so,
So-
maybe.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6
Yes.
stops activities.
Yeah.
My kids climb out on whatever.
Yeah, so I was gonna say,
Seem
we
to
kind
organize
of
them
have something
properly,
like that
but-
already, so. Sorry, that wasn't a question for you.
No, no. And they talked about doing that because they met with the same group over at Farmers Park, but when it came down to the finances, it made more sense to do what they did. So
That was a good investment.
I agree. A lot of kids and a lot of people were using it. I was very happy to see that.
Okay, next up is committee updates. Mr. Myers already did my KACC one.
I didn't know how much you knew.
Yeah.
And, or what they talked about down there.
The auto mechanic was new, because that was recently, but the EMTB and all that one, they're having problems with it. Which is not good,
Right.
because I like that we can offer those for people that aren't college
Absolutely.
bound. And we have so many kids that are interested in it. And even if you are college bound, half the time they are dual credit courses. But I know the auto tech one is a very popular one, and they just spent so much time getting the diesel tech in there and stuff like that. It's very sad to see, because that I know so many kids were excited about that program being built.
And he said he has some leads, whatever that means, so hopefully there's some.
They work harder than anyone I know, you know. I'm sure if there is a will and a way, they will get it. So hopefully they do, because I think it's beneficial to our kids.
Great.
But that was the main thing, is they're always looking for, even though I guess it's not going out to the community, but they're always looking for businesses and communities that, members that will partner with them for internships. That's always big too. We don't really have any in Beecher. They're usually all in Bradley, Kankakee and stuff like that, to where they can come and internship. Beecher's just never really put out for that. It would probably be nice for the kids if even the diesel tech, I mean, we do have some business stuff if they're willing to do that. We always put it out there to try to get more, because if it's home, it's a little easier than, the internship's not too hard for the kids to do because they get bused down there. But a lot of the kids have the opportunity to work there too, past the internship. Well, Bradley's a bit of a hike for your kid to be driving. And some may not be comfortable with it. It'd be a lot nicer if we had some in-town opportunities or closer. But that's about it. There's nothing else, right? I didn't miss anything.
No.
No? Okay. I don't think the scholarship committee, you didn't meet again,
That's
because you only meet like every
January,
quarter.
I think, yeah.
Who else would probably not have met?
Chamber is meeting today, actually, or tonight. They had their dinner meeting, and they are, well, probably Mike Waterman will be president and Margie Cook will be secretary. But that was going on.
At the same time?
At the same time,
Yeah.
so.
Unfortunately.
Sorry, Larry.
The Beecher
You'll meet
Education
dinner.
Foundation, they meet again?
Yes, so, well, they haven't met officially. Their meeting is on Wednesday, but they did provide me an update that they officially, I know I've given little teasers up to this point, but they officially set their 27th annual wine dinner. It will be Saturday, February 24th at 5:30 p.m. Again, at the Ravasol Country Club in Frankfurt.
Homewood.
Oh, Homewood. Homewood Flossmoor. I had F in my mind. Flossmoor. All right. So it's a themed dinner accompanied by wine, and this year's theme is a taste of Texas. So
I still think that would go better with beer than
it
wine,
probably
but.
would, but they make they work hard too, and they make very good choices
Yeah.
on their wine
I'm
selection.
I'm interested to see the pairing.
Yes, so it will be, and it'll be fun. They thought that would be a very, fun theme. And it is $85 a ticket, and they can be purchased online, or they can get that from a Beecher Education Foundation member. So that is my update, and
Yes.
maybe more for next month, because we'll meet on Wednesday.
Okay, next, the Booster Club.
Just met yesterday. Not a whole lot, but they've been doing the Chuck-a-Duck fundraiser, where you can buy a duck, and then at halftime of the varsity boys basketball game, and maybe the girls, I missed the meeting yesterday, but you chuck it from your seat and then you win whatever the prize is. So the cheerleaders have been wonderful and gracious to help us collect all the ducks. when they hit the bullseye. So we're gonna keep doing it as many of the home games, when there's, a lot of people coming up and, just doing little raffles and fundraisers, so.
Do they, I don't know if you know the question, but have they had anyone come to them for any funding or anything, or do they have any ideas of what they need the funding to
We're
go
not
to?
doing that till next
Yeah.
year,
Okay.
so this
Okay.
year is like gathering year.
Yeah.
We also though, there's more banners that are going
No,
to
that's
be
right.
put out there if any, is interested in, for more sponsorships of putting their name on the scoreboard as well as banners on the outside of the baseball and softball field. So that information will be coming out soon too.
Okay.
It's
I was just curious, I knew it was newer, so I
Yeah,
would-
not, yeah.
just that we want to raise enough money that when we're able to start giving away money.
you have the amount to
Yes,
fund
and
actual
it can
things.
be
Yeah.
rolling, so, but yeah, there'll be banners, scoreboards, and more advertising for local businesses.
The PTO.
They said earlier their meeting was tonight at 5:30, so I missed it. But they, like Mrs. Black said, they just had the holiday shop, and I know the kids had a lot of fun. And I did speak to them about possibly helping out with replacing the cafeteria tables at the elementary school. Helping out, or I don't know how much money they have raised, but.
Okay. And then the youth commission.
We don't really have much going on right now. We were just in the Holiday Lights Parade, which was really fun. We had a really cute golf cart. They did a really good job decorating that. Our next event coming up is the bowling event on Martin Luther King's birthday. So more information to come on that. We typically meet on the third Tuesday of each month at 7:30 at the Village Hall. This month, I believe, is a different date, so I don't want to recommend anybody showing up next Tuesday, because I don't think we're gonna be there. But we're always looking for volunteers, and any parents who have high schoolers, please let them know that they can earn their hours helping us out. So we are always looking for high school helpers to earn their hours.
And someone at the high school is telling them that.
Yes.
Because mine came home and said, Teacher, youth commission wants me to volunteer. So somebody at the high school is relaying that information.
Good deal.
And I was on the youth commission before, it is a really fun way to get out.
Yes.
I mean, they have some fun and great events, and
The dances are coming up. We're gonna need some help. Come on out. That's all I have.
Okay, moving on to old business. So first up, we've already discussed it, so I need a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 tax levy as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Flores.
yes.
Missouri.
No.
Blickling. Yes. Yurchenko.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Oh,
Motion
can
carried.
I recall my vote? That was, I had the wrong one. That was Soic.
No.
No, we're on the tax levy.
Yeah,
Tax
14.
levy.
Never mind.
Okay, next up is GRP update.
Just want to give you guys a quick update. This winter break, they'll be over at the junior high. They'll be putting the concrete pad in for the chiller. They actually, they tried to do it last week and they ran into some weather, whatever issues. So they're hoping to get that in over break, and then they're going to start with the lighting in the classrooms. So hopefully when we get back from break, our classrooms already have the updated LED lights in them.
That's nice that they're able to get that done.
Yep. And so same with the cafeteria, gym, bathrooms, and I want to say the office as well. So Dr. Quasi will be able to see her staff just a little bit better.
Okay, and then debt certificates. Which we already had that conversation. But
Yeah, again, there's nothing new to report outside of, I had a conversation last month with, when I was in Chicago, with Steve Marr. He's the Steve representative who said everything on his end is still moving forward. Want to know if there's anything that I need to tell him. I said, as of right now, no. We're probably looking to move forward with some things in January. So once he gives me some more information, I told him that we're not looking. His big question is, when do you need the money? Because when I said we're not actually doing the project till the summer.
which means it's probably going to be due July or August. And so we'll have that money well in advance.
Now, do we have a certain time frame to lock down rates?
So that's what he's going to start
Okay.
exploring in January, yep. So he's kind of wanted to make sure after, I'm going to report back to him after this meeting that we've had a conversation that you guys are much more amicable to the debt certificates with the investment options that we have now, and that he can start moving forward a little bit more
Now,
aggressive with them.
what would that, do we have anything we need to do on the end of, if we're going to buy a CD to, an additional CD to offset those interest costs, or do we not need to? Because we already have.
So in terms of like buying CDs and investing money, that is what Mr. Peters and I have been doing. So as.
But I mean, do we have to do anything in addition to cover those? Okay, that's why I wanted to make sure we didn't have some timeline for that either.
You have entrusted him as your board treasurer and me as the superintendent to have that ability to invest as needed.
Okay, just verifying. I
No,
didn't want to
great
miss
question.
the bus
It's a
or.
great question. Last thing you want is me to miss out on an
Yeah.
opportunity. Because
Well, I don't want to talk about this and we're all, we feel comfortable about it and then we miss the boat and we're back kind of where we were. Okay, so next is new business. So we have in there,
No executive session.
it's later.
I've requested to put it at the end of the meeting simply because it doesn't affect
Yeah.
anything else in new
Got it.
business.
So, does anyone have any discussion before I make the motion to approve the purchase of cafeteria tables? No? Okay. So I need a motion to approve the purchase of cafeteria tables from School Outlet for a cost of $12,283.27.
So moved.
Second.
Missouri?
Yes.
Lickling? Yes. Yuchenko?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next is the SOWIC Resolution Amendment 17. Do we have any questions or concerns with it? Okay, I need a motion to approve SOWIC Resolution Amendment 17 as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Flickling? Yes. Yuchenko?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We had a policy meeting beforehand on the first reading of Press Plus 113. Does anybody want a summary?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's my chair one? Ms. Missouri?
Ms.
Right?
Missouri.
Yep.
All right, so basically, we just, paperwork, sorry. So basically, we discussed a few points in general. One being, a big discussion point was 6.230, the recommendation or us to decide if we were gonna accept the ALA as it removes the board's authority to determine what can be placed in the school library. So we had a lot of discussion on that. There were recommendations that we maybe should consider not moving towards that, because if we do, then the board kind of loses their authority to have any say in the material that would be purchased. And in that discussion, I think we were kind of split, but this is just the first reading, so we have time to do more research and make a decision, of course. Another one we discussed was the 760, which I think is in front of you as well in more detail. Just basically are not accepting out of district student stipulations. Another one was the 7.270, adding the un-RX Narcan pens here, which Will County would provide for free. There was also an optional possibility of oxygen tanks, but the nurses aren't quite comfortable with that yet. We kind of need some more information and background. It is again optional, so I think we all kind of agreed that the nurses, that we feel right with that, but they should have more time on that. Did you want to say something?
Narcan's a nasal spray. You said it.
Nasal spray.
It's a nasal spray.
I said EpiPen, that's right,
Yep.
we have EpiPens
Yep.
now. We're
Yep.
getting nasal spray, I'm sorry, my mistake.
No, perfectly fine.
So yeah, so we're gonna, let them get more information, let them be comfortable, of course, before we would think about moving forward with that, but it's optional as well. And then I think Brandy brought up, and I'm glad she did, because I had forgotten about this one, but we talked about 7.160 with the students being allowed to accessorize as far as cultural, ethnic, and religion. And so, of course, this is something that is going into effect, but we kind of discussed, what does that look like? And could we potentially have conversations about like boundaries or just,
Parameters.
something
Guidelines, yeah.
to show
To help.
their support, but that it doesn't get out of hand. So those were the highlights.
Thank you.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the first reading of ++ 113 as presented, including policy, the adoption of 6.230. Yes,
Per IASB recommendations.
for IASB recommendation. I did not write that part down.
Oh,
So moved.
Second.
Diachenko?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Missouri?
No.
Flickman? No. Motion carried.
Okay, next would be the Lang
like,
plowing proposal. Does anyone have any questions or comments or concerns on it?
That's kind of what they, like price per hours, it's pretty.
yeah, they're here. We've never had any problems with it. They're local. They do a really good job to make sure that our spaces are plowed. I don't know if there's gonna be snow this year.
You better knock on wood.
Just because you said that,
That's
have a
gross.
snowstorm next week.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the Lang 2023-2024 plowing proposal as submitted.
So moved.
Hanson?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Flickman? Yes. Diachenko?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next up is the approval of curriculum associates quote. Pending for the Title I grant. Does anyone have any questions?
So there's two ways you guys can take this motion. Way I presented to Ms. Belt is, so Title I grants, we get a certain amount of money every year, and then around Christmas time, the giving season, there's a rollover fund that comes back through, and they say, hey, just want to let you know, these are the funds that were unused last year, or the funds at the state level that were unused, they roll into your grant process. So right now, I'm in the process of amending the Title I through 4 grants. In Title I, there's a substantial amount of rollover. And so I asked Ms. Black to talk to Sheila to say, are there any things you want? And so this is one of those things that she put on there. It's a curriculum for the K1-2, right?
Try not I ready?
The reading, yeah,
curriculum,
it is. It's iReady reading.
Yep. So there's two ways you can take this. You can either take it as written, as long as the grant is approved, then you can buy it, go ahead, because it's over 5,000. Or you can say, it's K1-2, buy it for the kids. I don't care which way you choose to do it, just want to make sure that you understand there's multiple options for this motion. But once you make one of the two, you got to plow through with it.
So I know reading is not up for adoption. Do they not have a current curriculum, or is this in addition to?
In addition to.
Okay.
And it's really what we're looking at for benchmarking.
Okay.
So,
I know kindergarten's hard, like as far as curriculum goes.
so we're trying to find a good benchmarking piece that we're happy with. We used STAR for the best for the little ones. Then we started looking at AIMS, which we've used for a while. Also, we were looking for something different, and iReady was really good.
Have we piloted this or anything, or this is
Yeah,
a pilot, kind of would be?
We had some funds that Mrs. Oppenheim was able to get a certain number of seats, and then she started using it, really liked it, we learned a little bit more about it. Actually, it's one of the curriculums that we're looking at through math, so when the woman came in to talk to us about the math curriculum, we also sat down, Sheila and I sat down and talked to her too a little bit more about the benchmarking part of it, to get some information while we had someone there to talk to. So we really like that, and since we had the ability to look into it a little bit more with a smaller number, so we looked at something.
And I'm very confident that it's gonna, I mean, it's gonna be on the title grant, they're gonna accept it. It's a benchmarker for title kids, it's exactly up their alley. I just want to be full disclosure, I'm in the amendment process, so it hasn't officially been approved, but this is the kind of thing that they look for.
Yeah.
They would approve this 100 times out
Since
of
I've
100.
been here, we've had different programs, they've never said no to a benchmarking program that
Yeah.
we wanted to use.
Sheila's comfortable with it?
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
She's the one that brought it up.
That's mine. If you guys have used it and it's gonna work and stuff, grant or not, I mean, you need a program, and if it is something that you like and you're going to get benefits from, that's what you need. You need an accurate representation of where they're at. And if this program's gonna give it to you, then that's what we need.
And if you don't put the stipulation of the grant, you can buy it tomorrow.
Okay.
If you put the stipulation of the grant, it's probably February.
Which then really doesn't.
Not because it takes me that
Second
long, it's because it
Yeah.
takes the state that long to approve it.
Yeah.
It's a curriculum that you can actually put in right away? Or is it like a
Benchmark. It's a
pre?
Benchmark, so yeah, you
benchmarking.
could do a middle of the year and end.
We're making it right away, and we actually have the math benchmarking, and we have the math curriculum piece right now, because we are working with iReady and considering that for a math curriculum, so they've given us access to the math portion of it, but we're not looking at reading, so they haven't given us access to that part, but Sheila, like I said, had some seeds through title, and really started working with it and liked it a lot, so when this opportunity became available, we wanted to purchase the reading math portion to try out with the young grade levels, kindergarten and first grade for sure. We're fairly happy with STAR, but if we have the opportunity to look at it with second grade also, that would be helpful.
Yeah, STAR's a little harder if they're not reading, only 6,000. Yeah. Okay, so I need a motion to approve, this is a typo.
So are we going to approve it regardless of the grant? Does anybody?
I'm gonna say it without the grant
Yeah.
when I say it, so.
Alrighty.
And then we can vote yes or no, and then if it's all no is all of it, I'll try with the grant. So approval of, I need a motion to approve the curriculum associates quote of $5,594.05.
So moved.
Second.
Herman?
Me? Oh, okay.
Yes, no,
Yes.
maybe? Okay. Belt?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Flickling?
Yes.
Diachenko?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next up is employment. Sorry. Do I have any employment issues that need to be handled individually? I don't know that I have any grouped together, so, but I just ask it fast. Okay, so I need a motion to acknowledge the resignation of full-time bus driver Robert Quain.
So moved.
Second.
Belt?
Yes.
Flores? Yes. Missouri?
Yes.
Flickling? Yes. Diachenko?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next up, I need a motion, or,
Yes.
yeah, we need to screw it, yeah. I need a motion to approve the employment of girls soccer assistant coach Dawn Compton. Sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Flores?
Yes.
Missouri? Yes. Flickling?
Yes.
Diachenko?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And then next up, I need a motion to proceed to executive session for the purpose of litigation, 5 ILCS 120-2 C.
11.
So moved. Second. Belt?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Missouri? Yes. Flickling? Yes. Diachenko?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Busy writing.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we are coming back into executive session on December 11th at 7:41 PM. All members present. We already talked about the fitness pad for discussion, other discussion items, so moving on. Do we have any items for the January 8th board meeting that we need to add on there? We will have the second reading of the policy, so we could go out and kind of see how everyone's feeling on that one and see where we need to go next month.
So I should also tell you guys, January 8th is an Institute Day. You're always welcome to join, especially for breakfast, anything like that. January 8th Institute Day will be a wellness day for the staff, so we're going to focus on staff mental, physical well-being. We're bringing in a blood paneling group that will do free blood testing for our staff members. We have, there's a bunch of stuff. Resolution making, there's
Zumba, meditation,
So-
circuit training, walk for fitness, those are the only ones that.
So we're gonna have staff kind of give them an opportunity to get back into a healthy mindset, and hopefully, a healthy staff is a less injured, less missed staff. We're looking forward to it. And again, it starts at 7:30 if you guys would like to come in for breakfast. Otherwise, have a wonderful holiday season.
And January will be the presentations from admin.
Yes, so they'll probably, I'll have them do their SAT, their test scores from the previous year, and that'll do a rundown of the school report card
Okay.
per policy.
Okay. Do we have any upcoming dates? No, it's the holidays, I mean, just that, do we have an early release date or anything next week? No? Normal days? Remember?
This is-
Goes to Friday, I wasn't sure if it was.
No, it
early.
goes to
What do we have
Thursday.
to-
Normal?
No, we have a full day of the week next
They
week.
don't have a regular schedule.
I think Friday is,
I thought
is
elementary
11.
is out the Thursday.
Oh, is that what it is?
Out halfway,
School is a
half day on Thursday.
The 21st.
I thought they all did.
day.
Yeah, they're out Friday. I was wasn't sure if it was a half a day or
Friday.
not.
Yeah, it's Friday, it's not Thursday. It's
Oh,
Friday.
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did I not?
Oh,
say
well, I
Friday
do have the
for
internet on my
all?
phone.
Are you sure? Really?
Okay.
I was almost positive the kids
We're
had a
off
half
the
day
22nd.
Yeah.
22nd is
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have school
Thursday.
That's
Thursday.
what we all
They
said.
have a half day on Thursday.
Half day on Thursday.
That's what I was wondering, it was Thursday was early
11:30
release.
Yeah.
dismissal on
It's
the
been here
21st, no school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I got my phone crazy. I know. I looked at
So-
that. Half day Thursday. 'cause-
That's independent of this conversation.
And then they come back January 9. Normal time.
That's why I'm doing it on Thursday.
So I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Oh, dang, I took the wrong day off for work.